Hello and welcome to More Movies number 19.
In Vietnam, he was 19. In Vietnam, he was 19.
This is the podcast where we like to talk about the films we've been watching, the latest movie news, and anything cinema related that's took our eye or tickled our fancy in the last week or so. My name's Greg Fisher. I'm joined, of course, by the legend that is Tina Turner. How you doing, Tina?
I'm good. I'm just, simply the best.
That's why I called you it, because you're simply the best.
You're simply the best.
You are, of course, David Roberts, living legend that is, cineast, film buff extraordinaire. How's things this week, mate?
I'm pretty good, sir. I'm pretty good. How are you?
I'm fine. Firing it back like a tennis pro that you are. I love it. I love it. Right, let's get straight on with the show. So this week we have been watching a brand new film, Space Jam: A New Legacy 2021. This stars LeBron James. Say it for me, Dave.
LeBron James.
LeBron James. LeBron James. LeBron James. LeBron James.
That's the man himself. He has replaced Michael Jordan, who was, of course, in the original Space Jam. And it's basically a reworking of that film, where we've got some sort of calamity that involves the Looney Tunes crew and pretty much the whole rest of the Warner Brothers IP in some newfangled kind of technological nightmare where they get sucked into the server that is buried beneath the Warner Brothers studios, and they then have to play a basketball game in order to win the day and win their freedom and get out of calamity. I think that pretty much sums it up, doesn't it, mate?
It does, yeah.
To say anything else about it would be, the story-wise would be extraneous, I think. But, what did you think of it, Dave?
Yeah, well, I pretty much enjoyed it. I mean, when it first came out, it's had all these, I think as everyone's seen, really negative reviews, really.
What?
I know. So it kind of put me off watching it. I was kind of thinking, oh, God, it's, because we'd seen the trailer, of course. We reacted to that a few months ago. We were really quite excited by it. And then these kind of reviews came out and it was like, oh, it's not as good. But then went ahead and going, well, we'll watch it anyway,
Sure.
Fuck the reviews, kind of thing.
Well, you see for yourself, don't you,
That's it. And actually, I really enjoyed it. And I think all these reviews are nonsense. It's given it way harsh criticism than it actually deserves.
Yeah.
And a kind of a misunderstanding of what it actually is, because it's a kids' film, it's a family film,
exactly,
and it's tremendous fun. And I spent a good 90 minutes of the movie laughing my ass off.
What about the other 30 minutes?
Not so much. We sat there for a smile, maybe.
Brilliant. Well, yeah, that was one thing about it, that when I actually put it on to watch, it was like 2 hours long, and I thought, really, 2 hours, bloody hell. But it soon goes by, and like you said, it's a kid's film. It's a lot of fun. It ticks all those boxes. If you were like 5 years old or 9 years old or something like that, I would say you could really enjoy this film. So, as far as all that criticism's concerned, like you said, this is not Tarkovsky. This is not a Stanley Kubrick film, or Carl Theodor Dreyer does the Looney Tunes. You know what I mean? This is a fun family film full of loads of Easter eggs, loads of action, loads of laughs. It's supposed to be, a little bit goofy, a little bit loony, as they say. And I agree with you. I thought the criticism was harsh. It was good fun.
I think a lot of it comes down to LeBron James, people not liking him for some reason. I think there's a bit of trolling going on there. And people saying he can't act. And you kind of go, well, he's good enough. He does exactly what is needed.
He's as good as Michael Jordan was in the original one, if you ask me. If not a little bit better. Maybe. Not bad. I mean, of course, he's not a professional actor. It always reminds me, I've said it before, that Gary Oldman thing, you suck! It's like, of course, they're not professional actors, not professionally trained. And all of that considered, he did a bloody good job.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a fan of... I don't follow basketball, so...
We don't really over here. It's very American sport, isn't it?
Exactly. So
America and Lithuania. They're the two countries that seem to love it.
But I mean, I think there's some part of it is people giving it shit over team loyalty or not liking LeBron James or whatever kind of thing is going on. I think that's part of the thing, which is just childish.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know much about it either. I've never been heavily into basketball. We used to play a little bit of it in school. Of course, I grew up in the era of Michael Jordan, so we all knew who Michael Jordan was, mainly because of the Nike trainers, or sneakers, as the Americans say. But, I don't know much else. But I did find out that, one thing he draws a lot of criticism for is that he's jumped about quite a bit. He played for Cleveland, then he played for Miami, then he went back to Cleveland, and then he went to LA Lakers. So he has jumped about a bit, whereas Michael Jordan was always associated with Chicago Bulls, wasn't he?
Yeah, I mean that's the very first thing I picked up in the film was because they obviously did that video package at the beginning.
Yeah,
and the first thing I turned to my friend and I was watching it go, and I went, "Not very loyal, is he?" And they did mention that later on in the film, of course. With
Tom there Cheadle's was some references to it, and
that's the star of the show, really. The Looney Tunes characters.
Yeah.
The outside story is a bit goofy. None of them are great actors. The family are not particularly great actors, I didn't think either. Apart from the son, I thought he was pretty good. There's Cedric Joe,
and also, like I say, it's like a chance for Warner Brothers to get out all of their intellectual properties, dust them off, a bit like they did in with Ready Player One. It's like, let's get all the popular characters out and let's just scatter them about everywhere, and then anybody who wants to can go through it with the pause button and say, oh, that's this, that's that. I mean, they had everything in there. At one point, I noticed they had the old Penguin from the '66 Batman next to a version of Danny DeVito's Penguin from Batman Returns. I mean, that's the extent they went to. They had the monkeys from the Wizard of Oz. They had the Game of Thrones characters. They had the Matrix characters. They had the DeLorean. They had Iron Giant. It was all in there. It was all in
the
there.
Clockwork Orange guys.
Yeah, even stuff like that, which is definitely not children's material.
No,
most kids watching that, they wouldn't even
what
know.
What was particularly funny about that as well, though, I found that they obviously had all these extras playing them on the side of the court, dressed up as his characters, and none of them proper. It was like Halloween costumes. They were.
It was
shit.
The guy who looked like Mr. Freeze. It was like
But that was the fun of it, really. It's a bit of a joke of. Well, they're not like accurate portrayals, but that's the fun of it. It's kind of those guys dressing up, and I found that quite funny,
Yeah. I mean, the star of the show for me, in terms of acting and everything, was Don Cheadle playing Al G Rhythm. He's like the bad guy of the piece. He's an algorithm that doesn't get the props he feels he deserves. So, he gets a bee in his bonnet about it. And he basically kidnaps LeBron James and his son, pulling them into the serververse, as we said, the Warner Brothers serververse. And the rest, as we know, becomes basically a basketball game to fight to survive. But Cheadle, I thought, was brilliant in it. He played it to a T. He was excellent as that sort of dastardly character, so to speak. And, there's nothing original about it. There's nothing, that you didn't expect. You could see it all coming. But, if you were taking children to go and see this movie, it's kind of what you'd want anyway. You wouldn't want any unwelcome surprises where you're going to have to put your hand over the kid's eyes and say, don't watch that.
Exactly.
The guys from the Clockwork Orange are beating the shit out of Bugs Bunny.
It's exactly what it, there's nothing, as you say, that's superbly clever about it or anything like that, but it delivers exactly what it kind of promises to deliver.
Yeah.
And I think it does a great job of it. Don Cheadle is it's like a pantomime villain, and that's kind of what you want in these kind of films. The effects of...
the effects, yeah. The effects were
brilliant. The effects are fantastic,
they are par excellence. It was like you don't get any better.
No.
There wasn't one pixel out of place as far as I'm concerned. They really, did. Whoever was working on that did an absolutely great job, because you got this combination of traditional hand-drawn animation with new wave kind of CGI and computer-generated animation and the live-action stuff, and it's all mashed together and it's all seamless. And you just, you never lose sight of that that's the world that you're in. There's nothing about it that makes you think, well, that looks a bit dodgy or that. You just go with it. It's like, even to the point of turning the Looney Tunes into 3D animated characters. I thought that was a nice touch, because they were like, what the hell's happened to us?
That was it, and it worked really well. I mean, they did the like compositions over like Casablanca, and that looked fantastic and worked really well. When they went into the Batman cartoon, obviously it's a different style of kind of illustration, and that looked fantastic.
And the Mad Max bit, I thought that was great. I laughed out loud with that, with Wile E. Coyote spraying his mouth silver, and just that was a good little tribute, I thought, to Mad Max.
I say I was laughing. I thought it, this is great, silly fun, and especially all the Looney Tunes stuff with the kind of self-referential gags of we're in a cartoon world, so we can do anything, and they draw the tunnel and go through it, and then he hits the wall, just like sitting back when I was a kid watching the Looney Tunes on a Saturday morning cartoon. I was like, this is great. But in terms of a good family fun and a laugh along and something to throw on and have just escape for 2 hours. Yeah, why not?
The kids will love it. The kids will absolutely love it. And why wouldn't they? I mean, anybody who's sort of like considers themselves are supposed to be a little bit too old to watch something like that is not going to enjoy it anyway, no matter how good it is. So, I don't know where the criticism comes from either. I thought it was good. Anyone who's got children wants to watch, keep them busy for a couple of hours and wants to watch something good, wholesome family fun, then, Space Jam: A New Legacy gets the Mill Movies thumbs up. 2 thumbs up. Yeah, so talking about trailer reactions, this week we've done a trailer reaction to the new House of Gucci, the Ridley Scott film, stars Lady Gaga, Adam Driver, Al Pacino, Jeremy Irons, loads of other people as well. We're really excited about that. As you will be able to tell if you watch our reaction video, again, link in the description, go check it out. That's just half the More Movies press this week. Dave, they've also released a bunch of posters to get ready for the promotion of the film. Did you like the look of them?
I did. We'll put them up on screen now as we just have a quick flip through them. But they look fantastic, don't they? This is going to be like a big budget kind of film for the studio, really, when they're putting the real effort into the marketing and all this kind of. You got this poster of Al Pacino looking
he looks like a badass, doesn't he? Look at him there. You wouldn't mess with that. He hasn't looked so badass since he was in Donnie Brasco, where he played that hitman lefty.
And then we've got, of course, Jared Leto there, which is
the unrecognizable Jared Leto.
It's very hard to tell, isn't it?
Even looking at him right there, with all the prosthetics, that is an amazing job, isn't it? Obviously, they've used some airbrushing and Photoshop to actually tart the poster up a bit, but God, it's hard to recognize him.
And then we've got your favourite Jeremy Irons.
My absolute favourite Jeremy Irons there, looking like a dapper Englishman, sort of, Michael Caine glasses, the thin pencil Clark Gable moustache, a nice silk cravat, and a lovely tan suit. Looking
Perfect
good, though.
Role for him.
Fair dues.
It does. I think it's the right role for him. He looks the part. And then, of course, the gorgeous Lady Gaga.
Fantastic Gaga. She's just brilliant.
Oh, stunning, isn't she?
She is. And I think this is going to be her film, as I said in the reaction video we did. But she just oozes style, even if she's wearing a packet of bacon. Do you know what I mean? She looked good in anything. And then you got the main man himself, the centaur, Adam Driver.
Adam Driver, of course.
Have you seen that? Have you seen that trailer for the? I think it's for some sort of eau de toilette, some sort of fragrance.
I haven't, no.
And he's basically running along a beach with a horse, and does he become a centaur in it as well? I'm not sure, but there's been some funny stuff about that online. A bit of trolling for him there. I seen one person put a picture of Kylo Ren up saying, I never noticed before, but Adam Driver is a centaur. So.
Burberry Hero. The new
But, he's one of those talents, isn't he? We've got the old classic talent of Al Pacino, matched up with the brand new talent of people like Gaga and Adam Driver. And, he's a popular guy. He's good actor. He's not bad. It's not bad.
He's just some great stuff, and he's a really cool guy as well. And I mean, Ridley Scott, it's going to be a great film. We're very excited about it.
Yeah, it does look absolutely cool. I love those posters. They're really very, very nice, and exactly what you'd expect from The Father, the Son, and the House of Gucci.
Okay, so in other news this week, a little bit different, but a image has been released, a teaser image, as filming has just wrapped on the Lord of the Rings TV series, which is going to be on Amazon Prime. We'll put the image up now. They've just wrapped filming and give a release date, which is going to be in September next year. This is going to be the most expensive television show ever produced. This first series has cost about $400 million. They have committed to 5 series, and it's going to be in excess of $1 billion overall. So it's going to be quite a big, expensive show with lots of money thrown in it. And of course, I mean, just looking at this image, it just looks stunning, doesn't it?
It does look like something out of the films. I mean, that looks to me like Minas Tirith. I'm not sure where it is or where it's supposed to be in the Middle Earth, but it looks like that kind of Minas Tirith sort of city. It does look nice. I didn't even know they were doing a Lord of the Rings TV show, to be honest, until this came up this week. And I was like, oh, you brought it to my attention. And I was like, okay, let's have a look. And yeah, it looks very cinematic. I mean, this is the thing about a lot of these TV shows nowadays. Like something like The Crown, that was the most expensive TV show made up until that point. It was very cinematic. You know, it's shot big budget, like a film, you know, hundreds of extras, really great use of all of the same ingredients that you would have in a movie.
So this is set thousands of years before The Hobbit, in the fabled second age of Middle-earth's history. So it's unlikely we'll see, I guess the only people we could see are perhaps some of the elves. And
what about Gandalf? He's pretty old,
maybe Gandalf or someone, and maybe something like the trees or something like that could possibly appear. But, you know, in terms of the rest of the cast, it's
all new
very
cast.
unlikely. Yeah. So, you know, I think it's a completely different story and a different take on it, you know. But
did you know during the filming of the original Lord of the Rings films, John Rhys Davies, who plays Gimli, he had a reaction to the glue they used to stick his beard on. Some sort of chemical reaction. I don't know whether it was like he was breathing in the fumes or what, or it was seeping into his skin. But it actually made him a little bit off his rocker. He was hallucinating a bit, to the point where he actually believed while they were filming he was Gimli in Middle-earth doing those things. You can read up about it. Honestly, it's really mad, but they didn't realize it was happening for ages because he didn't know it was happening to him because it was just happening to him. It's not like, you know, you suddenly stop and go, hey, guys, it's getting a little bit too, know, that guy playing the dwarves just killed a couple of the trolls for real, you know. I mean, but he was actually getting into it. So a lot of that stuff, when you go back and watch those films, his reactions to little bits and bobs in the film is actually John Rhys Davies reacting to it as that character rather than him just acting. But I was fascinated reading it. I thought, oh my goodness, you know, imagine that. He could have killed somebody, could have chopped their head off with his axe. Could have gone nuts. Yeah.
Well, but you wouldn't notice because you just think he's acting. You just think, oh, he's getting into the role.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, he did a good job there, John. Yes, I did. You know, it's like, bloody hell.
Nobody tosses a dwarf. Not the beard!
So, in another snippet of news, Regé-Jean Page, who people might know from Bridgerton, very popular TV show that many, say, middle-aged women really enjoyed his performance in. He's been touted to play the lead role in a reboot of The Saint. Paramount are looking to do a film of this, and they want to cast him in the role.
Okay, cool.
So, yeah.
I don't really know him, to be honest. I didn't watch Bridgerton. I've not really seen him in anything else yet. But, you know, I've told you before that the Val Kilmer movie of The Saint was, for me, it was unwatchable. I had to leave the cinema watching it. It was that bad. But I like the idea of The Saint. I enjoyed Roger Moore's series. They used to play that on repeat on BBC Two. I used to watch it and enjoy it. There was also a sort of late 70s, early 80s one with Ian Ogilvy, which was, like the sort of the new Saint or whatever, what they sort of like rebooted it in the early 80s. That was fun. But, ever since it's kind of been left alone, hasn't it? But, it's one of those great sort of British sort of spy things, really, isn't it? He's not so much a spy, but he is that kind of, private detective kind of dude, isn't he? He's hard to pin down, the Saint.
I mean, he's mainly been in television stuff. He was in Bridgerton. He's been in things like Casualty and Waterloo Road and stuff across here. Mm-hmm. He is cast in the new Dungeons and Dragons film that's coming up in a couple of years.
Okay, cool.
So I think he's making the step into
movies
films now. So obviously Paramount have gone, we'll have him in the Saint. It's interesting, they're doing a Saint reboot.
Yeah.
We've obviously had a few over the last few years of old British shows being made into films and whatnot. Thinking, of course, of The Man from U.N.C.L.E., which was shit.
It was disappointing because I always loved The Man from U.N.C.L.E. I don't think it was a British show, though. I think it was an American show. It just had David McCallum in it. But you're right, the Guy Ritchie Man from U.N.C.L.E., it was shit. I was disappointed. It's a shame. I wanted to enjoy it. But no, it was awful. I mean, Henry Cavill and Armie Hammer. Even the inclusion of Alicia Vikander couldn't elevate that film to being watchable. Again, I don't think I watched it all. I think I turned it off. I didn't go to the cinema for that one, though, so it wasn't like But I got so far through and I thought, you know what? Get it off. Get something else on.
That's it. Well, let's see what they do. The Saint reboot, interesting. Let's see where it goes.
Definitely. I'll go to the cinema again and give the Saint a second crack.
The last person in the world I'd let near them is the infamous Simon Templar.
So also I was reading on Empire's website this week about Chris Columbus did an interview where he reminisced about talking to the late Richard Donner about Goonies 2. That would have been quite a fun concept, I thought.
Yeah, not sure. It's one of them, isn't it? It's always would it have been a good sequel? But then there's also the element of, would it have just ruined it, kind of thing. It's always a very tricky one to kind of approach it when you have such a classic film.
Yeah.
And depends how far after, would it have been in the late, early 90s or something and been not too far removed from it, or would it have been?
Yeah, if they were all in their sort of late 20s, early 30s might not have been so bad, but now they're probably got to the point now where they're past their sell-by date in terms of running around, through the catacombs and the booby traps and the rest of it. But in this interview, it said, Chris Columbus said about Donner, he called me and said, you know what we should do? We're going to get on my boat, smoke pot for 3 days, and come up with an idea for Goonies 2. So the fact that they never did it is probably a good thing, because if they just got absolutely loaded and stoned for a couple of days and then, but then also they're like, yeah, that's a great idea. It's a really good idea. Write it all down. We're going to do it. And then actually when they sober up and they come to do it, it's like, actually wasn't a good idea. You were just stoned and it seemed like a good idea. I remember Steven Spielberg sort of said about Richard Donner that he was like a big kid himself, and that's what made it work so well, because the kids really related to his energy. He had that sort of mischievous sort of, adolescent kind of demeanor, I suppose. And, it was a great film. It is a classic. I'm glad they didn't make a sequel because, like you said yourself, some things are best left as they are in the past on their own. I think
people forget with sequels and remakes and reboots most of the time, films are not just stories of themselves. Usually they're products of their time, and they kind of represent where an industry is or the country is or whatever it happens to be. It represents a moment, and so to
try and capture that
and get, it's almost impossible.
Lightning in a bottle.
Lightning in a bottle.
It is, because if you think something like Back to the Future is 80s. It stinks of the 80s, and it only works because of that. It's of the moment. If it had been made at another time, it probably wouldn't work.
I think, let's have a little suppose about what would have happened in that. Maybe Cheech and Chong as the bad guys instead of the Fratellis. Imagine Schluffy getting caned on weed.
He's a big bong going on, skull-shaped bong.
Yeah. Yeah, thank God they left it there.
Yeah, I don't think it would have turned out well.
No, definitely not. Well, talking about crazy pirates, this week's tweet of the week comes from the one and only Anthony Hopkins, one of our great actors from here in Wales. Recently won himself an Oscar for his performance in The Father. I think he's the oldest person to ever receive an Oscar in that category. Maybe of an Oscar in any category, I'm not sure. But the tweet is of him and Pierce Brosnan hanging out somewhere, having a good laugh. But it says, being champion to be the next James Bond at Pierce Brosnan. So imagine that. What kind of Bond film would that be with Anthony Hopkins playing 007?
I think Anthony Hopkins, as Bond, retired in a small English countryside village. He's in a lovely little cottage and painting pictures. And then a load of bad guys show up. And Pierce Brosnan is playing the bad guy.
Oh, imagine that. How meta would that be? He'd love it as well. And Anthony Hopkins as Bond, well, I ate his liver with some fava beans and a vodka martini.
Would you get me a medium dry vodka martini?
What a
shaken, not stirred.
So we've been busy ourselves this week on our website. You can check out This Week in Film History article, which lists a load of births, deaths, events, releases, all sorts of movie news that's happened over the years. Link in the description below if you want to have a look at that.
And we've also released an article, our top 5 John Huston films. We often do these articles of top 5 films of certain directors. This week is John Huston. That's up on our website now. Link in the description down below as well.
And I've done a review for Summer of Soul, which is a fantastic music documentary / rockumentary, whatever you call it. So Film in 5 review there. It's here on the YouTube channel and it's up on the website if you want to read it. So again, link in the description here.
And of course, if you enjoy what we do over here, maybe you'd like to support us by buying us a coffee. What coffee would you like today, Greg?
I think I'd like some sort of Colombian fine roast. Let's have it black this week. I'm in a black mood.
Cream? No, thank you. I take it black. Like my man.
Let's go for it. Black Colombian roast coffee.
Right on, brother.
Yeah, so if you like what we're doing over here and you'd like to support us, you can hop on over to buymeacoffee.com. A link in the description down below. Or you can jump over to patreon.com and become a patron and join one of our packages over there. Again, link is in the description down below.
And don't forget to join us on social media at More Movies For You across the board. So that's TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all of those. You know the score, where we do silly things like the movie of the day.
For today's movie of the day, it's time for a bit of good old-fashioned chop socky. It's Jet Li's Fearless. Now remember, the only thing to fear is fear itself.
And there we go, mate. There's another week. It's flown by. I've really enjoyed seeing you and talking to you. It's been fun.
It's been a pleasure, sir. A pleasure as always.
Thanks very much for joining us. Hopefully you can join us again for another More Movies Weekly. And until then, take care of yourselves and keep watching more movies.
That's it for this video. Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. And remember to like, share and subscribe right here on YouTube. For more film reviews and articles, join us on our website moremovies.co.uk. Or join us on social media at More Movies For You. That's on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all across the board. You know the score. If you enjoy our content, please consider supporting us at buymeacoffee.com or join us on patreon.com. Links in the description down below. And for more filmtastic content, click one of the buttons on screen now.